I think first of all, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining. Well, it will be a very quick one, just a kickoff of our Gen AI study group for this year. Typically, Code.Sydney does study groups once in a while, and this year we chose to explore Gen AI. I think even myself, it will be my very first time to actually dig deeper into this. So let me quickly share my screen. I hope you don't mind, and I hope you can see it. Can you see the screen, guys? Joe? All good? Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
This is pretty much, the organization that we are in, Code.Sydney. We started 2016. The main purpose and the main goal is really to help nonprofits and charity organizations. That's pretty much the reason of our existence. And so far, these are our numbers. Uh, and we did attend some hackathons in the past, and these are some of our projects so far. Majority of our projects are mainly web development side because the expertise of the group is mainly around web development and Python or data side of things. So yeah, in this particular session, I think we're going to explore another area which we haven't explored yet. That would be Gen AI, and I'm glad that our newest mentor, Jo, who's a practicing ML AI consultant from Cevo, Australia, is going to impart some knowledge with us. So as for myself, I'm Engramar. I've been in the IT industry for almost 3 decades now, since I graduated back in the Philippines in 1996 with a mathematics computer science degree. I worked in the Middle East for 9 years, primarily on mainframe computing. So those COBOL programming language, IBM stuff. Then I'm now employed with a software company called GBG. I've been with them since 2007 in Sydney. And yeah, so turning 17 years this year. We're doing location intelligence, fraud management, and identity verification software. GBG is a UK-based company. I'm more on the location intelligence side of things. So without further ado, I guess, actually, I'll just quickly go through our initiative. So we do have Tech is for Good, which is sort of like we deploy them if nonprofits, charities would want some help. There's also some classified ads templates and so on. So you can also build portfolios or contribute portfolios. So pretty much that's the goal of Code.Sydney. And before Jo proceed, I just want to let you know that we do have our own Discord server. This is important because for this particular study group, because we have actually enabled the respective channels where we can collaborate together. So for example, this is the general channel, and from module 1 until module 7, projects 1 to 4, everything is covered, and we can discuss it on each individual channel. If you notice, this is just 30 minutes, so it will be always be 30 minutes every Thursday. It's really more of catching up, but the actual work, the actual collaboration will happen, every day, any time of the day within the Discord server. So actually what I'll do before I hand it over to our mate Jo, let me share the link of our Discord server here so you can just join in whenever you're free, or maybe after the meeting. So yeah, thanks, and Jo, hand it over to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Bong.
Sharing.
I'm gonna share my screen quickly. Entire screen. Okay. You can all see my screen, right?
Yep. All
Okay.
good.
Thank you. Yep. Yep. So thanks, Bong. I just want to introduce myself first. We only have 30 minutes, so Anyway, my name is Jo. I originally came from Cebu, Philippines. I moved here, worked in IT ever since. I'm currently an AI ML consultant with Cevo, Australia. Um, I mainly work, I'm actually a full stack developer, but I've been, I guess, interested with ML and AI for a while now. And I actually did, or in the process of doing my master's with the University of New South Wales. Um, I did 1 year. I'm on a break right now. I had, too much of study, so I thought this year I'm gonna focus more on generative AI, and that's kind of also the reason why I thought of initiating this study group. Rest assured, I'm still learning. I'm probably just a few weeks ahead of you guys, so let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. If not, then I'll just chat GPT it or Google it. So not to worry. Today's session is really just an introduction. We probably don't even discuss anything with the modules at all. So we're doing module 1, but module 1 is basically discussing what we'll be going through in the next few weeks. Originally planned to do this for 12 weeks and 4 projects in that 12 weeks. So 30 minutes per Thursday. That's my commitment to the group, to help, I guess, upskill everyone. But the 30 minutes that we have, that's not enough to learn, right? So I leave it up to you guys to go through YouTube or go through the materials. Take advantage of our Discord server, the cohort that we have here. Take advantage of me, right? I'm happy to answer questions and or research if I don't know the answers to those questions. Let me know anytime. Please interrupt me if you have any questions. And Bong, if maybe there's some if someone raises their hand or whatever, let me know, because I might not be able to see the screen. Okay, so it's just an overview of the whole 12 weeks. You'll notice that I don't have slides, right? So all we have is this GitHub repo, and that's basically our slides. That's our way of basically going through the course. And you'll notice that we only have up to module 5, and I have a good explanation because I haven't finished it yet. So I'm actually developing the material as we speak. So if you scroll down, we won't have any material yet for module 6, module 7, and finally the last project. But that's okay. That's still a few weeks to go, and I'm sure I will have time to do all that. Okay, so maybe I'll have a quick, I guess, talk about generative AI and what's the reasoning behind, why we are building chatbots and knowledge base search. My consultancy is Cevo, and we are very much aligned with AWS, right? So and myself being an AI consultant, I do go to a lot of their internal meetings and workshops. And one of the things that I learned, this probably a month ago now, we had a workshop, and one of the slides they shared is this one. So it's basically a list of use cases in ANZ, right? So first one is knowledge-based search and chatbots. Second one is contact center intelligence plus generative AI. Third one is IDP, or intelligent document processing. And finally, personalization. I'll talk about that, contact center and intelligent document processing, a little bit. Contact center intelligence is basically when You have call centers, say, for example, right? And using generative AI, large language models, so basically, intercept the calls, or not intercept, but listen to the calls, yeah, while the agents are actually talking to the customer. And on the side, they have this, user interface, which basically displays, lots of information that the agent can say, I guess, and material can say to the customers. For intelligent data processing and document processing, I've done a fair bit of that recently, and also recently, generative AI can help a lot. You don't realize that generative AI can also be used in the back office. Not only in chatbots, not only in image generation, music generation, but it's actually used quite a lot in the back office. So that's something mentioned by ANZ, AWS is one of the things, one of the use cases which are quite popular. And personalization, that's something that's also popular, but I can't really talk too much about that. Since knowledge-based search and chatbots is top of the list, right? I really believe in the Pareto principle. Focusing our attention on 20%, that gives us the best value, right? So we think, okay, what's most effective for us in learning generative AI is basically to focus on one thing. And I thought it best to focus on building chatbots. So that's kind of the reasoning why we're doing that. Also, like to point out the course prerequisites. This is not a beginner course, right? So I'm not here to teach you Python, because everything that we do in the modules are all Python. I hope you don't really need advanced Python, honestly. You just need to be able to understand the basic Python, right? Building code, maybe loops, stuff like that, creating functions. So it's nothing advanced at all. Git is also quite important, knowledge of Git, because we're working in a collaborative way. I expect that everyone's quite familiar with Git. That's kind of how we share our code with one another. Say, for example, if someone, just sharing like this, GitHub, I'm sharing you my screen, which is everything in code. This is basically a markdown file, right? So I don't have slides, but I'm able to share, my code to you, and you can actually see everything as a document. Jupyter Notebooks is also used extensively, especially at the start when we're actually building our confidence in talking to the LLMs, right? Docker, yeah, something we do use Docker in one part, actually, when I chose to use PG Vector, which is like a Postgres and SQL, to be able to add our vector DB functionality. There's an easier way, but I thought, if you want to build something close to reality, you kind of need some database, and us having the ability to deploy even locally using Docker, a database using Docker, it's quite advantageous for us later on. Little bit of SQL as well, because I mentioned that the vector DB we're going to be using is Postgres, which is an SQL flavor. Yeah, you can use PC, Mac, with at least 32 gigs of RAM. For the course, especially the first maybe 3/4 of the course, we're going to be using a local LLM. So that means we're not going to be connecting to a chat GPT. We're not going to be connecting to a Bedrock in AWS. we're going to be hosting our large language model locally, um, so that we can be familiar with how it works. And it's also an important skill to know, because many of actually clients, for example, would need something like the ability to be able to make sure that everything's private and running on their local machine. Rest assured, whatever whatever you learn in this course, um, yeah, you can use it anywhere, right? So you can deploy it to AWS or GCP or Azure. So yeah, that should be good. Um, is there a question?
Yeah, just a quick question,
Yes, sir.
Jo, from me. 32 gig of RAM. I'm not sure whether but considering your prerequisites, pretty much advanced users, I assume they have 32 gig of RAM in their machines, right? Because just remembered my other MacBook is still got only around 16 or
Yeah.
less. Is it really that important that we have the 32 gig?
Yeah, I think so. Especially like, we've got an option, right? The first option is to use a local large language model, and that means we're basically downloading, a few gigabytes of the large language model and running it locally, right? So that one, together with Jupyter Notebook and Visual Studio, that might be very very slow, and make it very slow. Another option, which I will make available, um, I'll update the repo, after today, would be, if you have a limitation with the machine, um, it's probably better if you've got access to like a cloud large language model, like ChatGPT, or any of the bedrock models like Claude 3 or even Anthropic, right? So that way, we don't have to run the large language model locally. It actually doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where the large language model runs. I just thought that if you have a good machine, then we can we can do everything locally, right?
For that. And I think one thing that I really like is when you said that we can download some kind of a snapshot of LLM locally, because what will happen here is that we plan to, hopefully in the future, maybe among us here who are attendees of this course, we can somehow present this to nonprofits and charity organizations to somehow, improve their operations to some degree by applying some of these learnings to them. Yep.
Yeah,
And
we
I,
we,
I
we
really like
definitely, yeah.
I really like the fact, sorry Jay, I really like the fact that you can download it, because that's the main concern really of organizations, sharing their IPs outside of their own, premise. Yep. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, we definitely can do that, right? But asking a cloud consultant like myself, I would always tell my customers to move to the cloud. There's ways to secure everything, but if it's required that we need to deploy locally, we can also do that, right? Yeah, so that's, well, of course, I think the most important thing is this one, right? Willingness to learn and collaborate, right? So we're in this together. I mean, I expect, hopefully, people to participate, and if you have questions, let me know, right? So question from Jinbin, what is the minimum hardware requirements for running locally? I think it's really just the memory. Of course, um, I haven't, because we just started this. I'm not really 100% sure in terms of, like, what hardware we need, but a modern laptop would do. And the most important thing is the memory at this moment. Any more questions?
Sorry, he asked, can we run small models locally in this course, Alet? I think you answered it. that we can run, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, we will cover in module one, actually. Module one, sorry, module two. Module one is today. Module two is all about running your local large language model. So yeah, we'll go through that. We've got lots of flavors of models that we can run, and lots of I guess you know each model has different. We'll go through that quantized versions, which you can pick one which is perfect for you.
Another question from Jin Bin. How about GPUs?
GPU is not important, right, Jinbin? It is okay if you have one. I'm using a MacBook Pro with a built-in GPU. Um, the models that we're using locally has the ability to offload to GPU, but if you don't have a GPU, it will run in your CPU. So if your laptop doesn't have a GPU, that means everything is going to be shouldered by the CPU. So that's why it's important to have like a good hardware and the memory. Okay. So I'll just go through module one very quickly because we just have less than 10 minutes to go, I think. But yeah, I mean we're nearly there, and we mentioned anyway we didn't really have a lot to discuss here apart from like connecting and kicking off the activity. So let's go to module one. I think I already mentioned this before. This course will mainly use Python. You'll notice if you are curious about what we'll be going through, have a look at the readmes of the modules. If you want, you can also go to the notebooks, IPYNB files. Those are the notebooks that we will be going through. So everything is in Python if you look at that one quickly. Just curious, is there anyone who hasn't used Jupyter Notebooks before? Raise your hand, please. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, Jupyter Notebooks are nothing but, I think we're probably not going through all the basics with Jupyter Notebooks, but I'm sure you should be able to find material in YouTube, right? On the basics of Jupyter Notebooks. So the way we use Jupyter Notebooks in this class, in this study group, is through VS Code, right? So I mentioned here, you need to install VS Code on your machine, and then through VS Code, you install the following extensions: Jupyter, which allows us to do our Jupyter Notebooks. I'll show you in a bit. Python and Pyland to give us some convenience functionality within the VS Code environment. Were there any questions, or that was the
I
raise the
think
hands?
June just mentioned is using Google Colab, which is pretty similar to Notebook, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Colab is okay too. I'm just thinking about, does Colab have access to your local large language model? I haven't tried that, but maybe that's something that we can try. I will try over the weekend, actually. I have access to Google Colabs, but yeah, Google Colabs exactly are notebooks, Jupyter Notebooks as well.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I'll continue. Maybe I'll show Visual Studio, or Yeah, I'll just show VS Code quickly.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks.
just move my. Okay. So yep, this is VS Code, right? Like I'm sure many of you have used it, but just make sure as part of before the next meeting we have on Thursday next week, I uh, advise you to set up your VS Code environment. Make sure that you can run Python functions, Python on your Jupyter notebook. So typically, either you click on that play button or basically just shift and enter, right? So if you're not so familiar with Jupyter notebooks, I advise you to have a look at YouTube. And there's going to be a lot of information there in terms of how to use Jupyter Notebook. Like once you know how to use it, you will forget that you're actually using it, right? So it will become second nature. Okay, so where was I? Uh, Okay, so also I advise you to learn about creating virtual environments in Python. Um, so it's things will still work if you don't have a virtual environment, but it's better to have one so that your libraries are all contained to your environment, right? So if you exit that environment, then you won't be um, uh, you don't have bad effects on your existing environment. So when you install something in your environment, you won't be affecting basically your main computer. Um, is I see a couple of raised hands. Yeah, please, just let me know if you have a question.
I have a question, Joe. Here's Giovanni.
Hey,
Uh,
Giovanni, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you. I know this course intends to use AWS. I would like to know which model you're going to use AWS, and if there is any chance that I use Azure and replace AWS, just because I have more experience with Azure, and I would like to enjoy this training doing things to Azure as well.
Okay, good question, Giovanni. We are actually not using AWS, right? So the first half of the course is going to be using a local large language model. We have 2 minutes, right? Okay, yeah. We're going to be using a local large language model, Giovanni, and using LM Studio, right? So for the first, maybe 3-4 modules, we'll be using that. However, in the advanced RAG course, the local language model is not enough. So you can actually use any cloud provider, including your one, Azure. In my case, I'm an AWS guy, so I'll use AWS. Um, was there another question or?
It's like a die Q. Uh, yeah, do you have any question?
No, sorry. I was just putting my hand up saying I
Oh,
wasn't
no
familiar with
problem.
Jupyter.
No problem. Yeah.
No questions.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're running out of time, but before we go, I'd like to have a look at the list of in under the assignments. There's something that for you to do until the next Thursday. First of all, I mentioned install VS Code. Make sure that you're familiar with PyEnd, how to create a virtual environment. You don't have to use PyEnd. If you want to use Conda, you can do that, as long as you have to be able to create a virtual environment and confident to do that by next week. If you're not sure, YouTube or ChatGPT, you've got lots of information there. make sure you fork this course in your personal GitHub, and that's where you add your code, right? So add your code, all your code to your personal GitHub after you've forked this course. So you fork it so that you'll see updates also, and you will able to sync your updates to your local GitHub. Important, start this course in GitHub, right? So this will help also with making it more visible to everyone who needs the information. Don't forget to join the Discord channel, as Bong has mentioned, and Gramar. So that's where we basically our primary way to coordinate with each other and introduce yourself there, right? So we want this to be a friendly environment, some place where we want to look forward to every week. If you want, if you're up to it, please share in LinkedIn, that you're doing this course. Public learning in public is always a nice thing, I think, and that's what I do. I write about things, and I make people know that I'm studying about this topic. Yeah, connect with your study group members in LinkedIn. Put your LinkedIn details in Discord, and yeah, please connect with me if you're if that's okay. I think that's all the time we have for today. I hope to see you all next Thursday.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jo.
Thank you. Thanks
Bye.
everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. See y'all.
See you, Giovanni. Bye bye.